of the Honorable Minister of Education and Culture, Honorable Myron Walwyn. Happy to have you. Let us give him a round of applause. Thank you. And now I'll turn you over to the moderator as we begin the second debate.
Yes, again, peace and blessings, everyone. I'm Edjuenka, of course, and I'll be moderating the second debate again. And good to see you. You know, I know some of you perhaps had to leave, but hopefully more of you will be able to stay, and you can come a little closer up so that you know, the room feels a little more cozy. The mood for this debate, the second debate this evening, is modern day natural disasters are a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. Modern day natural disasters are a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. And for the proposition, we have Elmore Stout High School. And for the opposition, we have Claudia Cricky Educational Center. Proposition first speaker, Akia Herbert. Give her a warm welcome. Second speaker, Jefferina Morrison. And rebuttal speaker, Nandy Christopher. For the opposition, we have first speaker, Ebony Warren. Second speaker, Kiara Foy. And the rebuttal speaker, Rondell Smith. And again, the judges judge based on, for the prepared presentation, soundness of points, outline structure, sound argument, subject adequately explored, adequate reference and supporting, coherence, logical development, for a total of 20 points. Opening statement, clear and engaging, clearly defined moot and key terms, clear path from premise to conclusion, effective concluding statement, 15 points. Posture and personality, 15 points. And that includes charismatic delivery, body language, posture, and eye contact, command of audience's attention, ability to keep the audience engaged. And a command of the language, 15 points, which includes grammar use and appropriate vocabulary, expression and structure, pronunciation, and group coordination, 10 points, for a total of 110 points. Rebuttal, the criteria for, that the rebuttal is based on is, of course, recall of points, recall and general analysis of debate, which includes structure, ability to identify the key arguments, showing understanding of opponent's argument, effective analysis, for a total of 20 points. Ability to refute, evidence in support of rebuttal of key points, soundness of counter arguments, convincing and confident, and spontaneity, which accounts for 6 points for a total of 50 points. The best speaker, audibility, clarity is judged by audibility, clarity, articulation, voice modulation, command of material, persuasiveness, fluency, eye contact, and body language, for a total of 100 points. And we want to note again that a rebuttal is not to be considered when judging the best speaker. The rebuttal is not to be considered when judging the best speaker. Our officials for this second debate, our chief adjudicator, Mr. Damian Grange, is a proud member of the Tortola Toastmasters Club, a trained teacher, an accomplished writer of poetry and plays, and holds an executive diploma in management from the Chartered Management Institute. He is currently employed with the BVI Health Services Authority. Give him a round of applause. Sarah Benjamin is a barrister at law who also holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Acadia University in Canada. She worked in the Director of Public Prosecution's Office for over 6 years and left that office as a senior Crown Counsel in January 2014 to her present position as the Deputy Registrar at the Supreme Court. Give Sarah a warm round of applause. Mr. Orville Phillip, he is a senior lecturer at H. Laverty South Community College who provides instruction in biology, chemistry, environmental science, and disaster management. Mr. Phillip holds a Bachelor of Science degree in marine biology, a Master of Science degree in applied marine sciences, and is expected to complete his PhD in environmental toxicology in the summer of 2018. Give him a warm welcome as well. Our best speaker adjudicators, Sasha Flax, graduated from the Brigada Flax Educational Secondary Division in 2007, completed the first half of her tertiary education at H. Laverty South Community College, and completed her bachelor's degree in travel, tourism, and hospitality management at Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island in 2011. Sasha is a new business development manager at the Department of Trade, Investment Promotion, and Consumer Affairs. Give Sasha a warm round of applause as well. Akua Nkindele. As communication teacher, Akua Nkindele prepares and delivers lectures to college students, small groups, and individuals on topics such as public speaking, media criticism, and oral traditions. Since 2009, she started as an adjunct professor of speech communication at H. Laverty South Community College. She graduated from BVI High School in 2002, H. Laverty South Community College in 2004 with an associate's degree in science. In 2008, she graduated from Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas with a bachelor's degree in communication studies. Please give Akua Akindele a warm welcome. Our timekeeper, as usual, good brother Phipps. Auditors remain Ms. Marsha Frett and Ms. Lauren Welch. The procedures are the same. First speakers of the proposition and the opposition gets 8 minutes to present their cases. Second speakers gets 5 minutes. There'll be a 5 minutes of silence for the teams to prepare rebuttal. The rebuttal speakers each get 4 minutes. Timekeeper gives a 1-minute signal before the expiration of the speaker's allotted time and at the speaker's allotted time. And that sounds like the bell. Thank you, Mr. Phipps. At the end of the debate, the auditors and adjudicators will get the final scores together. They will determine the best speaker and the winning team. We will have a brief open discussion about the Moot during the time that the auditors and the adjudicators, I'm thinking insurance adjusters, right? That was supposed to be a joke. Yes, the adjudicators and the auditors, during that time that they are deliberating, we will have a brief discussion. And of course, upon their return, the winners will be announced. Honorable Walwyn is here. He's here for the first debate, and he's here again, and he's hanging in. And I know he's enjoying the debates. He's giving them a thumbs up, and he looks very happy about the performance of the students this evening. They've been great, Honorable Walwyn. thumbs up. That's for those of you who can't see. It's one of his favorite signs. Now to the debate. Without any further shenanigans, I call on the proposition's first speaker, Akita Herbert, to present its case. Give her a warm welcome as she comes to the lectern.
I remember sitting in my room waiting for Irma to pass, feeling helpless, hoping that we are spared, thinking that there is nothing that we can do about it, that these things happen. We were just unlucky that we were directly hit. But are we really as helpless as we think? Is there really nothing we can do? The distinguished climatologist Gordon McBeam, chairman of the Foundation for Climate and Atmospheric Science, disagrees. He declares, and I quote, "It is time to change the mindset that natural disasters are inevitable. It is time indeed." Mr. Moderator, esteemed judges, attentive audience, worthy opponents, fellow teammates, good evening. My team and I will present reliable statistics, incontrovertible facts, and dispassionate, unbiased, scientific evidence to convince you beyond a doubt, yes, beyond a doubt, that natural disasters, modern-day natural disasters, are a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. It would inform the discussion if we define the salient terms associated with this debate. First, what is a natural disaster, you may ask? A natural disaster is defined as a major adverse event resulting from natural processes of the earth. Natural disasters may be in the form of floods, hurricanes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tsunamis, sinkholes, and other geological processes. Modern day is defined as in or relating to the present or recent time. What does it mean to use the environment unsustainably? Let's define sustainability. It is the ability to continue a defined behavior indefinitely. Hence, to use the environment in an unsustainable manner is to consume more energy and resources at a faster rate than they can be replaced. Simple examples of this can include cutting down more trees than we replant, and land reclamation that destroy mangrove swamps and coral reefs faster than they can be regenerated. Mr. Moderator, the impact of global climate change on communities and economies has been a topical issue in recent years. Every year, reports from all over the world give a clear indication as to why the rapidly changing climate is attributed directly to human activity and why it alters the global atmosphere. The problem is exacerbated by man's unsustainable development practices, which are all mainly due to poor land use and overexploitation of resources. The obvious and direct link between human activity and the acceleration of climate change has made us all more vulnerable to natural disasters, which are becoming more and more intense. In fact, every time we listen to the news, we are bombarded by reports of a devastating earthquake in Mexico, major flooding in North America, or catastrophic hurricanes in the Caribbean. Mr. Moderator, aren't these events increasing in frequency? The Economist, a respected and strongly pro-business magazine, cites a study in its August 29, 2017 edition that states, since 1970, the number of disasters worldwide has more than quadrupled to around 400 per year. A distinct data set from the same article reports that there are 6 times more hydrological events worldwide now than in the 1980s. Another study conducted by the World Watch Institute, a Washington, D.C. research organization, reports that natural catastrophes have affected more than 2 billion people and caused in excess of $608 billion in economic losses worldwide in just the last decade, a rate greater than during the previous 4 decades combined. Mr. Moderator, this is hardly accidental. The World Watch Institute study concluded, and I quote, by degrading forests, engineering rivers, filling in wetland, and destabilizing the climate, we are unraveling the strands of a complex ecological safety net, end of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, we have altered so many natural systems dramatically that their ability to protect us from environmental disturbances is greatly diminished. With the devastating storm surge associated with Hurricane Maria last year, and even those from the last 2 weeks, affected us so badly if we still had our mangroves? A change of climate, which is attributed directly to human activity, alters the global atmosphere alongside natural climate variability that has also been observed. So yes, climate change can be a natural process, as a worthy opponent will no doubt assert. But is there any serious doubt about the human role in accelerating it? Let's highlight another natural disaster. A January 2017 report from the nonprofit edublogs.org states that within the last 30 days, there have been over 100 sinkholes reported globally. This is shocking since these natural disasters were rarely ever seen. Mr. Moderator, what causes monstrosities like the 2010 Guatemala City sinkhole that killed over 15 people? The report describes sinkholes as enormous circular gaps that are created underground. These natural disasters aren't believed to be that natural anymore due to the fact that most recent sinkholes were actually triggered by human activities such as drilling, mining, and construction. According to this study, the answer points to the usual suspects: overexploitation of resources and man's unsustainable use of the environment. The sinkhole shows how many human activities affecting the natural environment, such as urbanization, industrialization, and agriculture, result in less resiliency to catastrophes. Even though it is currently possible to predict most natural disasters, their increasing frequency is proportional to the increase of ecologically destructive and unsustainable human development. Mr. Moderator, distinguished judges, ladies and gentlemen, the link is clear. It's no accident that in this epoch of globalization, where a British oil company can drill in the Pacific or a Chinese construction company can build an airport in the Caribbean, the frequency and intensity of these natural disasters are increasing. To sum up, what is truly responsible for these increasing in natural disasters? Of course, it is man's unsustainable development practices, use of the environment. I thank you.
Time, 7 minutes, 38 seconds.
Yes, indeed. I now call on the opposition's first speaker, Ms. Ebony Warren, to present its case. Give her a warm welcome, please.
Climate change, gas house emissions, hurricanes, earthquakes, Donald Trump, Paris Treaty, overload. Hurricane Irma was a big machine. No overheating, malfunction. What to believe? What is truth? Should we swallow the red pill given to us by opponents, or step out of the matrix and swallow the blue pill of truth? Mr. Moderator, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, my worthy opponents, a pleasant good evening. My colleagues and I are here to boldly state that we oppose the Moot. Modern-day disasters are a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. Before I begin to demolish my opponent's futile arguments, let me first clarify some key terms in this address. First, according to the Collins Dictionary, a natural disaster is any catastrophic event that is caused by nature and the natural processes of the earth. In addition, natural disasters fall into three broad groups. They are those caused by the movements of the earth, such as earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanoes, those that are weather-related, such as tornadoes, hurricanes, and those that are products of extreme weather conditions, such as landslides, floods, and famine. Now, let us look at the phrase, direct result. According to Collins, direct means immediate result or consequence. Result means a consequence of outcome or conclusion. Therefore, based on these definitions, man is the sole cause of these natural disasters. But is this really a fair statement? My colleagues and I will argue the opposite using 4 main points. 1, natural disasters are natural. 2, all disasters are not created equal. 3, biblical revelations. And 4, areas that are prone to natural disasters. Mr. Moderator, natural disasters such as volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, and landslides are not a new phenomenon. In fact, they have been happening since prehistory, before we started blaming it on man. Let us look at historical evidence, since records show that there have been numerous natural disasters for centuries. For instance, the occurrence of the 2010 earthquakes that devastated Haiti was not a modern-day phenomenon. According to Scientific American Online, another earthquake of that magnitude was recorded to hit the nation in 1770. Additionally, one of the deadliest hurricanes to have hit the U.S. mainland was recorded in the 1900s in Galveston, with winds up to 195 miles per hour. Although my opponents would like you to believe that hurricanes continue to grow in intensity because of man's interference, let us not be fooled. Judging by these figures, hurricanes have always been intense. Mr. Moderator, the Virgin Islands have experienced numerous natural disasters since the 1800s. For example, the wreck of the Rhone occurred in 1807 because of a devastating hurricane that blew in without warning. Another example is the destruction caused by a major volcano in the city of Pompeii. And our modern-day Pompeii occurred between 1995 and 2000 in Montserrat and took the form as a catastrophic volcanic eruption that caused 2/3 of the population to flee, primarily the United Kingdom, leaving fewer than 1,200 residents. Mr. Moderator, these disasters were not caused by man's unsustainable practices. Where is the evidence to prove that this is indeed the case? In fact, Michael Evans in 2011 argues that natural disasters are cyclical and occur yearly or sometimes decades apart. He further argues, and I quote, "It doesn't take a genius to figure out that sometime in the next 50 years, a Category 5 hurricane is going to strike New Orleans yet again." End of quote. In other words, Mr. Moderator, if you have not had a natural disaster in a while, then you are overdue for one. It is easy to blame every natural disaster on global warming, but meteorology is not an exact science. And while in some cases, this blame might be quite justified, in many cases, natural disasters occur for purely natural reasons. Mr. Moderator, all disasters are not created equal. Please do not be fooled by my worthy opponents who are masquerading man-made disasters as natural disasters, just to have a point to argue in this debate. When a volcano blows and causes a widespread destruction beyond what anyone could have reasonably foreseen, as was the case in La Soufrière and St. Vincent, that is an authentic natural disaster. When an under-the-ocean earthquake causes a 50-foot tsunami that wipes out a whole island, that's a legitimate natural disaster too. But building homes in flood-prone areas, fire-prone areas, blatantly disregarding the warnings produced by modern technology is not natural but man-made disasters. How dare we use natural disasters as a scapegoat? Mr. Moderator, with the exception of one academics, nothing kills in numbers like a natural disasters. Mr. Moderator, scientists are nowhere close to establishing that natural disasters are directly linked to man's unsustainable practice. This sentiment is shared by the National Academics of Sciences, Engineering, Medicine, who argue that we can only tie heat waves and cold spells to climate change. In fact, scientists are still unable to find any human input on natural disasters, such as volcanoes, wildfires, extreme snow, tsunamis, and earthquakes. Ladies and gentlemen, are you aware that the most dangerous natural disasters are earthquakes and tsunamis, which are the leading cause of many deaths worldwide? Well, if you didn't know, now you know. Man has no control over disasters, neither when it happens nor how it happens. Mr. Moderator, the terrifying fact about natural disasters is that they can transcend all of our technology, and we are virtually powerless to stop their destruction. But we are not directly responsible for something that happens all the time. Perhaps the only comfort is that we have become a lot better at predicting these catastrophes, and as a result, millions of lives have been saved. I thank you.
Time, 7 minutes, 15 seconds.
I lost my place here. Okay, let me see now. It's time to call on the proposition second speaker, right? It's the Miss Jefferina Morrison. Yes.
Good evening. I recognize the protocol that has already been established. Mr. Moderator, audience, worthy opposition, and esteemed judges, travel back with me in time to September 6th, 2017, when Hurricane Irma devastated the Virgin Islands. Together, let us dwell on the emotions we felt that day for a minute. We felt helpless, we felt hopeless, but above all, we felt fear, we felt terror. This is what a modern-day natural disaster does. It annihilates everything in its path, and we are left cowering in our closets. It is my job to support what my first speaker has so eloquently commenced and enlighten you on why modern-day natural disasters are indeed and without a doubt a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. The opposition will argue that natural disasters have always been occurring. However, as my first speaker so vividly and effectively portrayed, natural disasters are happening more frequently and they are becoming more and more intense. According to the Center of Research on the Epidemiology of Disasters, a respected and unbiased source, since the year 2000, the International Disaster Base recorded an average of 341 climate-related disasters, an increase of 50% from the previous average from the mid-1980s. Let me repeat that. Climate-related natural disasters have more than doubled in frequency since as recently as the 1980s. That's only 30 years ago. Mr. Moderator, why is this happening? The opposition will tell you that's just Mother Nature taking its course. We are quick to point fingers at any other possibility rather than ourselves, and they'll present a couple of studies and reports from discredited, unscientific sources in the pockets of big business, scandalous sources that profess, among other things, that the tooth fairy is a reason for disposable income amongst children and that the world is in fact flat. Please, stop. It is time for us to acknowledge the reality that 97% of scientists know to be true, which is that our heedless and greedy mindset is damaging our planet. We have become beholden to large corporations that pillage the earth. Corporations are leaving a wasteland of smoking factory piles and daily tremors and fractured terrain and Category 5 cataclysms. And why? So that our cell phone batteries can last half an hour longer, or so that we can save 7 cents on a gallon of gas? The U.S. state of Oklahoma has only had 6 earthquakes of magnitude 5 or higher on the Richter scale since 1882. 3 of those occurred in 2016, and the largest one ever recorded occurred in September 2015. This is according to George Choi, a geophysicist with the Geological Survey, in a US Today article from November 2016. Oklahoma has seen a severe spike in earthquakes since 2008, when energy companies ramped up their hydraulic fracking, which is a method for drilling for oil and gas. And according to the US Geological Survey, the number of earthquakes rose from just 2 in 2008 to a whopping 889 last year. So, from 2 earthquakes per year just 10 years ago before fracking to more than 2 earthquakes per day now. What could be clearer than this obvious and direct link between unsustainable environmental degradation and natural disasters? Mr. Moderator, do we still believe that this is Mother Nature taking its course? I thank you.
Time, 4 minutes, 38 seconds.
I now call on the opposition's second speaker, Ms. Kiara Foy, to present his case.
There will be earthquakes and great signs from heaven, and I will display wonders in the sky and on the earth. Luke chapter 2, verse 11, and Joel chapter 2, verse 30, respectively highlight both of these visions from God. Be honest with yourselves, my people. Could any one of us today prevent these biblical revelations from taking place? Could any one of us have stopped the great flood described in Genesis chapter 7, verse 17? Emphatically, I say to you, absolutely not. Recent reports from the Pew Research Center, an American nonpartisan group that informs the public about the issues and trends shaping the world, categorically state that the opinion of almost 90% of evangelical-minded individuals believe that no one except the Almighty God has the power to do so. In fact, Mr. Moderator, it doesn't take a genius to see that scientists and environmentalists have no clue what is really taking place in our world. They are simply guessing and using scare tactics to fool us all into thinking that man is directly causing modern-day natural disasters. Let us recall that not too long ago, these same learned individuals coined the term global warming as the new in thing for the world to be aware of and control. Then they moved on to global cooling. Now all of a sudden, they're focusing on climate change and natural disasters. Mr. Moderator, they need to make up their minds and separate fact from fiction. The Bible warns us in Matthew chapter 15 and verse 14 that, and I quote, "They be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch." My friends, do you want to end up in the proverbial pit? Because we certainly do not. Now really, if modern day disasters were caused directly by man, why did the United States of America, number 2 in the world for greenhouse gas emissions, withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement on June 1st, 2017? It is because this is all a farce to make us forget about what really matters. In short, Mr. Moderator, let us not be led astray, like Eve, by the crafty words of my worthy opponents. Mr. Moderator, we cannot deny the fact that certain areas of the world are just prone to the development of various natural disasters. Have we forgotten that the BVI and other Caribbean islands are in the direct path of hurricanes every single season? Have we forgotten about the summer wildfires in Los Angeles, the cyclones and typhoons, which have devastated significant areas in Southeast Asia in spring? As stated on BVInews.com on November 17, 2017, the Department of Disaster Management has reminded residents that the BVI is located in an active seismic zone, and these earthquakes are bound to take place. So we need to prepare and prepare well. In light of this fact, do we still believe that these natural disasters are going to magically disappear because man has put an end to his use of unsustainable practices? Of course not. Let it be known, Mr. Moderator,
that the climate of the Earth has always warmed and has always cooled. This is nothing new. As a matter of fact, the 20th century rise in global temperature is within the bounds of natural temperature fluctuation over the past 2,000 years. Additionally, in 2014, a group of 15 scientists dismissed the United States National Climate Assessment as, and I quote, a masterpiece of marketing that was grossly flawed, and called the NCA's assertion of human-caused climate change categorically not true. So think about it. Are we really looking at climate change here, or climate hoax? In conclusion, Mr. Moderator, we cannot deny the existence of these natural disasters, but we must emphasize the fact that modern natural disasters are not and cannot be a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. Also, we must take note that modern technology has led to more awareness of these natural disasters, not their frequency of occurrence. With this in mind, we cannot continue to unfairly and solely blame man for natural disasters. I thank you.
Well,
Time, 4 minutes, 43 seconds.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't know how the judges going to handle this. But we're going to take 5 minutes of complete silence so that they could prepare their rebuttals. I now call on the opposition's rebuttal speaker, Mr. Rondell Smith. Please give him a warm welcome.
Mr. Moderator, honorable judges, worthy opponents, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Today I stand before you challenged with the task in refuting the proposition's argument. Modern-day natural disasters are a direct result of man's unsustainable use of the environment. The first speaker's definition for a natural disaster is a major adverse event resulting from natural processes of the earth. They stated that natural disasters have increased in frequency and strength in these modern times. But, Mr. Moderator, can we agree that human populations have also increased? Hence, human populations increasing, so has our habitable environments. We have moved and populated more vulnerable environments to these disasters. Therefore, now we realize natural disasters have always occurred, but we now put ourselves in the face of these natural disasters that we have not recorded in these past times. They mentioned Irma, a monster, a Category 5 hurricane, winds 185 miles per hour, fatalities about 5 people in the British Virgin Islands. But Mr. Moderator, let's go back to the 1900s, as my colleague stated, and bring up Hurricane Galveston, winds of 195 miles per hour. Mr. Moderator, Irma is a decrease in intensity compared to this one. The first speaker mentioned that activities such as drilling, mining, and construction can directly cause disasters such as sinkholes. Mr. Moderator, anyhow man is involved in a natural process, it automatically rules out the term natural, making it man-made. I mean, I certainly wouldn't call a robot human. So why should we consider a disaster directly caused by man. Natural. Mr. Moderator, I rest my case.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I acknowledge the previously established protocol. We have had quite a spirited debate. My team presented irrefutable evidence agreed upon by 97% of climate scientists, according to NASA, showing the clear link between man's unsustainable use of the environment and increased occurrence of natural disasters. Mr. Moderator, what has the opposition done? They're handing out props because, ladies and gentlemen, they cannot offer credible evidence. They are serving up red herrings for your consumption because the scientific facts are overwhelmingly against them. Our noble opposition constantly relates to biblical references, but aren't we talking about modern day? They also talk about climate change, but aren't we talking about natural disasters? They valiantly try to distract us from the uncomfortable truth that human overexploitation of the environment is putting us literally in the eye of the storm. Sadly, Irma and Maria are becoming the new norm. Hurricanes use warm water as fuel, and these monsters rage and spin over water that is almost 2 degrees Celsius higher than in the 1950s. The opposition argues that natural disasters are in fact natural. But if we contribute to the increasing warm temperatures and continue to frack and disturb the earth, aren't we contributing to forming these natural disasters? Even the temperate United Kingdom was threatened by a tropical storm just this past year. Here in the BVI, over the last 5 years, we've endured massive flooding events, storms and hurricanes, and increased seismic activity. These disasters tore through the roofs of our buildings, flooded our streets, and shook the very foundation upon which we have built our territory. Hurricanes like Irma and Maria have killed dozens of people and displaced thousands in the Caribbean alone this past year, according to CEDRA and DDM. But these disasters have also destroyed a dangerous illusion, a belief that we can go without being unchecked and without consequence. Mr. Moderator, the good news is that we can do something about the unsustainable use of resources. Humanity can move back from this precipice of climatic catastrophe that we are hurtling heedlessly towards. The opposition has stated that yes, the frequency of hurricanes are increasing, and he related it to the frequency of the population is also increasing. But doesn't that connect something that does state that man is a direct impact? We can use our resources more responsibly and take better care of our environment. We can champion sustainable development that allows people to be lifted out of poverty and provide opportunities for economic growth and technological innovation that improve the quality of life. If we really need to see a decrease in natural disasters, we should consider the irrefutable facts laid out by our team. Mr. Moderator, we rest our case. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly this debate exceeded our expectations. Won't you agree? Yes. I mean, I am totally mesmerized, totally mesmerized. So while the judges and the auditors retire to make their decision, I suspect that we're going to be here a long time. You don't think so? I think so. I think we're going to be here a while. They might have to adjourn the deliberation and call another session next week to get the results. You know, much like the House of Assembly. Yes, the debate is back in order, and I want to welcome the judges back And thank you very much for coming back, because I was beginning to panic. I was wondering if y'all were going to call adjournment behind my back and come back tomorrow. But I'm glad to see you. So I'm going to ask the best speaker adjudicator to come forward and give us a 5-minute critique and determine you could or less, 5 or less. That you can determine the best speaker. Because if you could do it in less than 5 minutes, God bless you. Because I don't know how you're gonna make this choice. We want a detailed explanation.
I'm here to tell you who is the best speaker for this evening. And first off, in public speaking, what we believe in is being efficient and being effective. So tonight, at the end, I'm going to be efficient and effective. I'm going to be under 5 minutes, okay? All right, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit. What was very important for us, once again, was being efficient and effective. And from the first words to the last words that the best speaker gave, efficient and effective. The gestures that this person presented were strong and they were purposeful. The voice was filled with strength. And this person was extremely articulate. And what came out for us, with this individual, with the best speaker, was the professionalism of this person, of this individual. This person seemed wise beyond their years. And this best speaker this evening for us is Miss Akia Herbert.
The chief adjudicator to come by and be as efficient in selecting the successful debaters and give us the scores.
Mr. Moderator, debaters, fellow adjudicators, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I must tell you, Mr. Moderator, that this one was really close for us. And I think we could all celebrate the debaters this evening because they were all excellent debaters. My fellow adjudicators and I, we talked about the debates from last year to this year, and we have seen a significant improvement. And credit also to the teachers and team leaders who work with the students. We fought a little bit because we had some disagreements in terms of the team that we thought should have won, and that is also a testament of how great the presentations were. I'll give you some improvement tips. Key to note, debaters, shouting is not necessarily voice modulation, so be careful of that. And I think with the decision of best speaker, that was really what separated the two speakers that we thought were forerunners this evening. The adjudicators felt like one shouted rather than focusing more on voice modulation. So be careful of that when you're debating going forward. Also, remember not to turn pages. The foregoing chief adjudicator mentioned that you shouldn't staple, but I'll take it a bit further in saying that you shouldn't turn your page, so you slide your page across, and it makes it less visible. When you turn it, then it becomes more visible. So you slide across, okay? That's an important tip to note as well. And body language should be deliberate and it should be meaningful. So don't open your arms too wide, just to make a point. You could say, with a wide margin, rather than with a wide margin. You understand? And you'll be just as effective, and it makes it easier to listen to, and of course, a greater impact, especially on a general audience. And those are the improvement that we thought we should note, because you guys were really good. And general overview in terms of the debate, I must say that the debate was evidence-based, and it showed that a lot of research went in to your presentations, and that should be commended. So give the debaters a round of applause. We thought that was a highlight this evening. Without any further delay, I'll give you the scores. The proposition ended with an overall score of 607.5 points, and the opposition ended with a total score 656.5 points. Therefore, the winner of tonight's debate is the Claudia Creaky Educational Center. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulate the Claudia Creaky Educational Center for winning tonight's debate. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
For that efficient critique. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to congratulate both teams, and of course the Claudia Creaky team for a wonderful presentation. This brings us to the conclusion of this debate.